Welcome to the Capital Compass. I'm Lindsay Melchek. We're taking a closer look at Spirit Blockchain Capital today, a company that's building the bridge between traditional finance and the rapidly evolving world of blockchain. Spirit gives investors an accessible way to actually participate in Web3 opportunities without having to manage the complexity that usually comes with it. Now, joining me is Mr. Louis Bateman himself, the CEO of Spirit Blockchain. So, Louis, you have a deep background in both capital markets and digital assets, and you bring such a unique perspective on where the future of investing is heading. So, first off, welcome back. And I just know this is going to be a great conversation.
Thanks, Lindsay. I am excited to talk about where we are today and where we plan to be in the future, and what is really transpiring between the traditional markets, call it TradFi and DeFi, the digital markets. And I'm looking forward to having that chat.
Absolutely. Now, Louis, let's peel back just the first layer. For those who might be newer to the space, how does Web3 actually work? And another point, how does it work in relation to blockchain technology?
Well, what Web3 really represents the next evolution of the internet, right? It's a decentralized, user-centric model built on blockchain technology. Blockchain provides the foundational infrastructure. It's immutable. It's transparent ledger where data, value, and digital ownership can be recorded without any reliance of traditional centralized authorities. In Web3, users regain control of their data, their assets, and their interactions. And Spirit, is part of that shift, leveraging blockchain not just for cryptocurrencies, but for real productive asset management where they maintain or the users maintain greater transparency, greater efficiencies, and greater ownership. And you're seeing that across multiple sectors, the use of blockchain. You're seeing that with lots of large multinational and large ownership businesses like BlackRock. And we see ourselves very much fundamentally part of that development.
Okay, so just from my understanding, which is probably quite little in the blockchain space, what we normally do is we track from beginning and then we track more towards the end. So a blockchain is there's places within the actual cycle where you actually can trace it all the way back throughout that process. Am I correct?
Correct. Every single chain, every single block is ledgered from the day of the existence and the day of the release. And you can track that movement of value or information on each and every single block and in each and every single exchange between two counterparties. And that's what's really unique. And it's open, it's transparent, it's available to anyone who has the understanding and the wherewithal to validate that infrastructure.
Well, that's what we're looking at nowadays is full transparency from the start right to the beginning and everything in between. You're often called a pioneer in tokenized asset management. What do you think sets you apart in this space?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, I think it's our management team who've got years of experience and understanding in the marketplace, who've spent time in large institutions that know the traditional markets, but have taken all that knowledge, extracted it, right? And saying, okay, these are the things that we want to carry forward. And here's the things that we know we need to make better. And at Spirit, we saw the early adoption or the early understanding of kind of asset management from the transition of mutual funds to ETFs, and now this wonderful world or word that we're using, tokenization. It's the ability to represent ownership of real world assets or digital assets on chain or on blockchain. And it would fundamentally reshape finance. And this is even what Larry Fink is talking about. Our innovation lies in between that institutional grade regulatory structure, regulatory compliance structure that makes tokenized assets really accessible, productive for investors. And we've designed a platform where assets are not only just tokenized, not only for novelty like the NFT markets, but are actively managed for yield, liquidity, and long-term growth. We're bridging like the best of traditional asset management with new capabilities that Web3 offers. And we're giving clients the confidence, the transparency, and the performance they expect with far greater flexibility and efficiencies.
That is great news right there. When it comes to generating strong income strategies, can you actually walk us through what you're doing specifically and really why go this route instead of just investing directly into cryptocurrency?
Well, I think cryptocurrency as a whole has a stigma, right? People think it's complex or that they have to memorize some very secret, code or password, and then if they don't remember that, they're lost forever. The reality is that we come across not only understanding that marketplace or that software or that solution set, but we also know that we want to, bring in less speculation and more strategic asset management. And while cryptocurrency investment is highly volatile and dependent on market timing, Spirit uses a diversified approach. We're utilizing not only our capital from a proxy perspective to the underlying crypto assets, but we also believe in income generation and capital preservation. And so our strategies not only involve staking, yield farming, real world asset tokenization, and liquidity provision, we optimize that through our own proprietary intellectual properties, algorithms, and risk management protocols. And we use that so that we have better performance. We use that to price protect and to limit the price swings. We've seen obviously big highs and big lows just in the last few months, and we're focused on productive deployment of capital that earn a steady return. We also believe in this growth segment, right, of this overall market, and we aim to bring stability and predictability under a regulatory guidance that we have on our prospectus, which ultimately I think lowers volatility.
Let's take a step back here then. And what do you see as the biggest roadblock right now for both institutional and retail investors when it comes to adopting Web3 and blockchain?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting conversation to have. There's lots of things that are happening in the marketplace overall, both globally and macro. But the real major roadblocks that we think are the ones that clients are asking for is trust, and we think having this public domain access is really pivotal, and regulatory clarity, both regionally and globally. Institutions in particular are asking for robust frameworks, right? Clear compliance pathways and operational transparency. And both retail and institutions are often faced with complexities. And the Web3, although seems intimidating with the user friendliness of an interface, but it requires real clear information and clear methodologies. And we think we give that to the marketplace. We're building, as I mentioned before, an institutional grade solutions while creating hopefully a simpler, more accessible on ramps for both retail and institutional investors while maturing with the overall market, the ecosystem. And we think we can lead in this in a very credible way. And I also feel impassioned from an educational perspective of taking our traditional knowledge and showing what the barriers are and continue to make sure those barriers are knocked down with our implementation of our services.
Fair enough. So we have just one final question for you here, Lewis. Why is now the right time to invest in Spirit? What do investors stand to gain by getting in today rather than waiting to see how things unfold?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we are at a critical time. You're seeing a lot of change globally. Web3 adoption is really at its tipping point. You're seeing more and more financial institution using it as its own core infrastructure to build. Regulatory frameworks are emerging. You're seeing the change of even the SEC and a lot of regulatory bodies coming to an adoption understanding and a requirement. The greater the masses are taking control of their own assets, the more the use case becomes relevant. And Spirit is positioned at the forefront of this global shift. And early investors gain that exposure not only through, I hope, and we believe in exponential growth of this tokenized asset economy, but also it benefits from first mover advantages. We have our own proprietary technology. We have great strategic partnerships. We have seasoned leadership. And by investing now, right, you get the upside in a very early nascent marketplace while shaping it and helping that future landscape.
Well, I mean, the conversation yet again did not fail. So many insights and such an abundant amount of things in the bucket for you all. Thank you for joining us and sitting with us again.
Lindsay, thank you very much, and I really do appreciate everyone looking at our business and the opportunities that are being presented these days.
You betcha. Again, that was Louis Bateman, CEO of Spirit Blockchain. Their website is spiritblockchain.com, and you can find them on the CSE under the ticker symbol SPIR. I'm Lindsay Melchuk with Stockhouse Publishing. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.